Hello everyone, and welcome to another Microsoft Dynamics CRM training session. I'm your host, Angelina Jacobs. I'm a Senior CRM Consultant at CRM Dynamics. I have my information up here in case you have any further questions on the training webinar or just looking for additional knowledge, maybe tips and tricks on Dynamics CRM. Feel free to shoot me an email. We love hearing from you guys as well as hearing your feedback, so by all means, feel free to send me an email. Today's webinar is a marketing overview. And what this is just a basic overview of the marketing pieces within your CRM. So some of the things I'm going to cover are marketing lists, campaigns, and the email merge function that you can utilize when creating those marketing lists and campaigns and having an email activity send out based on an email template that you create. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into our CRM here. You'll notice that I'm on a contact screen right now. Reason being, I just wanted to show you some of the marketing fields within the CRM, particularly on a contact form. However, you can have them on lead forms, on account forms, and so forth. But when we're dealing with the marketing lists and campaigns, keep in mind that you can only relate them to leads, contacts, or accounts. Some of you might call them companies, but it's the account entity within CRM. So I just want to point out some of the castle as well as contact restriction fields here on the contact form. Now, castle is a Canadian anti-spam law, so depending on what country you're in, this may not be pertinent to you. However, it is for Canadian spamming. And what it's showing here is there's a castle permission date as well as some other fields just to know whether or not the person has opted in and when they did so. So you'll see here there's a castle permission date. And all this is referring to is that, yes, this contact has given us permission to contact them, and it was on this date. Same, they opted in for a newsletter, and it was on that same date. So they've given us that permission. Depending on how your company is set up and whether they've added additional custom fields such as this castle one, instead of a date, they might just have a yes or no option or just, a checkbox to say yes, they've either given permission or not. And these are useful because when you're creating your marketing list and doing some advanced finds, some of the criteria you're going to use is going to be based off these options here. Because you obviously, if you're going to be sending out any email activities, you should only be sending the people that have said, yes, you can do so. And that's the same here with this contact restrictions. Some people, if they have the bulk email as do not allow, it won't send out to them. Here I have email has been allowed, but if it was someone who said do not allow, then again, when I'm creating the list that we'll be doing afterwards, I want to make sure I'm only including the contacts where they've said yes, email is allowed. Again, as I mentioned earlier, you can add custom fields into here, and they're just great to use because when you're creating your marketing list, you're going to want to filter on some of those fields. I am in CRM 2016, so depending on the version that you're in, things may look different, like the menu, as well as where we go for certain options. However, the concept is the same. So I'm going to go up into the marketing section here, and the first thing we're going to deal with are the marketing lists. As with any record type, to create a new one, I'm going in the top left and I'm clicking on New. Now this marketing list is going to be about a promotion. So I know I'm going to be sending out an email, maybe do some phone call activities as well, but it's going to be about telling some customers that we have promotion, maybe including a newsletter or something as well. But with that in mind, in the name here, I'm going to put the details so I know what this is actually referring to. So for here, I'm just going to say new, promo, and newsletter. For the list type, you have two options. You can pick between a static list or you have the option to click dynamic. Now the difference between static and dynamic. Static lists do not change after you create them. You have to manually update them whether you're removing or adding additional members to your list. So at the time that I create this, it's going to be as is unless I remove or add people in the future. A dynamic list is helpful because you can set your filter criteria and the list will automatically update as new records fit the criteria. So if I had a dynamic list and I had where contacts says email are allowed and they've given us castle permission, let's say someone makes a new contact tomorrow and they've said, yep, they are okay with getting emails and they've opted in for castle permissions, that person automatically gets added to this list. So you don't have to manage it because it's getting managed automatically within the system based on the criteria that you set up, which we will go through shortly. So just keep in mind the two different list types. If you create a static list type, you cannot convert that to dynamic. So once you create it, it is what it is. You can edit it, but you can't make it a dynamic list. You'd have to make a brand new one. Now when you create a dynamic list though, you do have the option afterwards to copy it as to a static list. So you create a new marketing list record, but you can copy the dynamic one you already have and it becomes a static one. Targeted at, this is important because I mentioned you can only target these at certain record types, so accounts or companies, contacts, and leads. So you can't make marketing lists on any other record type besides these here. So for this one, I'm going to click contact because I know I'm going to be directing my campaign towards contacts. You can put your source in here. You can also put some costs if you ever want to track some of the financials associated with this. So you can put in dollar values. You'll see here it keeps that. You can lock this or not. I have it as no. In the description, you can actually just put additional notes if you want to add some more notes just in case someone else is viewing this and they want to know what exactly this marketing list is about, or just if they're looking for further detail, this is where you can put that. So I'm going to save this. And now I have the option of adding members to my marketing list. So I've saved the record and now I have the ability to add in these subgrids here. So I'm going to manage my members. I'm going to add some by clicking this plus button in the right of this grid. This pops up an advanced find. Now if you're not familiar with advanced find, there are additional videos on our training YouTube channel that go through advanced find and creating that filter criteria. So I won't spend too much time on that, but this is exactly what that is. You're going to select up here, you'll see I'm already on the contact entity because yes, I'm looking in the contacts. And then this drop down here is going to give me all the contact fields. So these are all the fields available in the system related to contacts. So as I mentioned, I want to make sure that I'm creating a marketing list where they've said the email is set to allow. So I'm going to find that field down here. I know it's called, it's called do not allow emails. So that's what the field name is. But you'll see here when I say equals, I'm going to put in this value. So I want to say where do not allow emails equals allow. So they've said, yes, you can send me an email. So that's one criteria. The other one is I want to make sure they actually have an email in our system. Because obviously if there's blank data in there, it's not going to send out and that's just a waste. So I'm going to go down to my email field. So you'll see here email. And I'm just going to set this to contains data. So I want to make sure that there is data in that email field. You'll click find here to at least give a preview of your results. So I go find. And there you'll see I have 76 members that meet the criteria that I set up, and they're listed here. If this wasn't a view that or something that you wanted to work with, or let's say you forgot another criteria, you would just have to go back to query down here and then go through this stuff again and edit. Otherwise, you can say use query here, meaning, okay, I've set it, let's go. Or you can do it from this find menu. You'll see it's another option saying, okay, yep, I'm good with this, use query. You'll see here it added those members to my member list. Also on the side here is where we get into the campaigns. So you see right from the marketing list, I can add them to campaigns. I have campaigns as well as quit campaigns. I'm not going to do it from this menu, more so because I want to show you, in case you hadn't created the marketing list, where you create your campaigns. Very easy though. In the marketing menu, instead of marketing list, you have campaigns and quit campaigns down here. So I'm going to go on campaigns, but I'm going to show you just a quick slide on what the difference is between campaign and quit campaign. So you'll see the list here. Campaigns are usually for longer periods. If you have something that's running for a month, couple months, versus a quick campaign, you obviously want that to be a shorter period. The biggest difference, though, is a quick campaign you can only have associated to one single activity type. What this refers to is if I'm creating a campaign, I can only do one activity with it. So I can either send emails or I can do phone calls, but I can't do emails and phone calls. So that's one of the major differences here, is that when you're associating activities we created. There's also some built-in metrics as well as you can associate to some price lists and products depending on the type of services you offer and what you have in CRM. So here's the major difference between the quick and just the regular campaign. So I'm going to go back into our CRM and I'm going to create a campaign. Again, these forms might look slightly different. All depends on how it's been configured for your organization, whether they've added additional fields or maybe played around with some of the formatting on the form. So just keep in mind that not all forms look the same, but again, the concepts are always the same. So for this campaign, I know that this is about that promotion that we're going to be sending out as well as attaching a new newsletter. So I'm going to say new promo with newsletter. So it's just a subject so that you kind of know what this is about. Campaign code, if you want to input that. You can also have a campaign type, whether it's advertisement, there's direct marketing, other. Again, these are lists that you can also add additional details to. You can also put in an expected response rate. So if you have a feeling, maybe it's 75, 80% response rate, you can put that in. And that's just great for your metrics and tracking how well your campaign does. You also have a schedules down here, so you can have your proposed start. So let's say we're aiming to get this campaign going September 1st, and then we want to make sure that it ends, let's say, by the end of October, so the 31st. So these are just proposed start and end dates. And then afterwards, you can put in the actuals, which again helps with your metrics and when you're reviewing the campaigns to see how they went. You'll be able to tell, okay, well, we wanted to start here. Well, maybe it didn't actually start till mid-September. So it's just great to fill in a lot of the data here because you always can go back and look at how your campaign actually did kick off. You can put additional details in here in terms of what the offer is. It's kind of like additional notes. You just put in some description here if there is further detail you want to associate in this campaign record. So you notice I don't have the ability to add anything on these grids here, and it's only because I haven't saved the record. So I'm going to do that. You can go Control S or save up here. Now that I've saved my campaign, I have this social pane here that will show me any activities associated with the campaign. I can add the marketing list here, leads, as well as the campaign activities here. You also have the option in your menu, if you look at the top here, see how I have the name of my campaign. If I go to this drop down arrow on the right side, I have all those related pieces right here. So if you don't have them as subgrids on the form, maybe keeping it a bit cleaner, or some of the things you may not use, just remember that you can always go to this drop down and these are all the related areas to your campaign. So I'm going to start off making some planning activities to this campaign. And that's where I was referring to maybe creating some tasks or appointments because you have some prep work to do that is in regard to this campaign. So I'm going to add a new activity and I'm just going to make a task for myself. Again, these forms might look slightly different just depending on what's been configured in your CRM, but this is just a task form. I'm going to say I need to review the promo template and newsletter. And you can put further description in here, maybe a duration. You'll see here it's already put what it's in regards to, so I know, okay, this task is about this new promo with the newsletter campaign. I can also put a due date in. So saying, okay, I need to do this by Tuesday. I need to have that done by 11:30. And I can save that. Also, if you have the Outlook client plugin, these tasks that you create here, so long as you have the synchronization set up, will sync into my Outlook. So if I create this campaign task in my CRM, it's also going to show on my to-do taskbar list in my Outlook. So it's a great way that I don't always have to come back to this list here. It actually shows up on my to-dos within my Outlook if I have the Outlook client plugin. You'll see here after I created that task, it added it to the list here. I'm going to create one more knowing that I need to have an appointment with maybe management or the other marketing team members and go through all this stuff. So I'm just going to say promo meeting review documents. Put a location, I'll just say the office. And you can actually add in attendees here. And this is the same way you use in Outlook when you say invite attendees, that's where it is here. You know, maybe I want to make this a 60-minute meet or an hour here. And I'm just going to change this to, I know that task, my own internal task is to have this reviewed here, so I know let's have this meeting on the 25th. And we won't have that in the evening. We'll make sure that we have that during the day when people are at work. So I'll say from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. So I'm going to save that. And you'll see here, again, once I've saved that, it's on my planning activity list here associated to this campaign that we created. Again, the appointments you make here, if you have the Outlook client plugin, it's going to create that appointment in your Outlook calendar. So I'm going to go back to my campaign. I'm just going to click up here. And I'm back in my campaign here. Now that I've created those planning activities, you'll see them here in the social pane. So this is just showing the activities that are related to this campaign. And you'll see here's the task as well as the appointment that I created. Now I do want to associate a marketing list to the campaign, so we're going to associate that one that I just created. I'm going to do that by just adding here, and you'll see I have a list of marketing lists that are available in the system. I'm going to scroll down to that one I created, the new promo newsletter. I'm going to select that and click Add. Now I have this confirm addition screen that pops up, and what's asking me is whether I want to add the marketing list to the campaign only or to the campaign and all undistributed campaign activities. What that's referring to is if I had created any campaign activities such as emails, phone calls, and so forth, whether or not I want to make that marketing list available to those activities to assign it to. So you could click this, I don't have any campaign activities created just yet. So in this case, I'm going to say to the campaign only. But if you did already create campaign activities, you'd want to select the second option here so that when you go back to those activities, you can then add that marketing list. I'm going to go OK, or add, sorry. And you'll see here I have that marketing list. Now with the campaigns, you can add multiple. So if you had a couple in the system that you know you wanted to utilize for this campaign, you could add some more. I'm only adding the one in this case. And then we're going to create some campaign activities. So I could do that from this grid down here and clicking the plus sign. Or again, in the top here in this drop down, I have additional options available to me and I can say campaign activities. And then I'll just say new campaign activity. Again, depending on your forms in your system and how they've been configured, these might look slightly different, or you might have different fields available to you. It's all customizable, but for the most part, these are common fields here. So the subject, I'm just saying what this is about, so I know this is going to be an email with promo and newsletter. You'll see here it's already associated to that campaign I created. You can put in the type, Again, this is option sets that you can add additional data to, but I'm just going to say content distribution. The channel is what type of activity this is going to be. So you get phone, letter, appointments, so forth. I'm going to do email in this case because I know I'm going to be creating the template for them. And you have additional stuff here. You can add in, schedule start. Okay, I know I wanted to start this on September 1st. I'm going to do the same thing here. And then I'm going to save it. So I'm doing Control S or save in the top right. You'll notice that once I saved it, it already added in the marketing list that was associated to that campaign. So it already knows that this is the marketing list I'm dealing with. So that adds it in on its own. You would have the option to add in here, but you would only have, you'd only be able to select from the ones that you've added to the campaign. So you'll notice here I only have one instead of having all of them. Okay, so I've created my email campaign activity. And you'll notice that once I did that, it shows up in this list here. And you can add multiple. So if I wanted some phone call activities, you just add the same thing and make it a phone instead of an email channel. And this is just the type of activity that you're creating, is what it's referring to. Okay, so we've already created a marketing list, and then we've created a campaign, and we've related the marketing list to the campaign, as well as created some planning activities, so a task and appointment, and a campaign activity of an email. Lastly, we're going to look at the mail merge and email templates. And there are two types that you can create. There's always a personal, as well as a system-wide one. So depending on your security role, usually it's only system administrators that are able to create system-wide ones, but you might have that ability. Otherwise, you'll be creating personal ones. If you do create a personal template, you do have the option, though, to share that to the organization in case you wanted to make it system-wide. And then if you did that, you also have the option to remove that and only make it personal again. So to do the personal email templates, you're going to go into your options. So in the top right here in the gearbox, I'm clicking that and I'm going options. From here, you'll see I have an email templates tab, and I'm going to go and create a new one. So the template type, this is where you're going to select what type of records it's dealing with. So you do have company, contact, quotes, so forth. I know that this is going to be a contact one because that's what my marketing list and campaign are geared towards. So I'm clicking on contact, go OK. And I've got a template form up here. You'll see the types is contact template. Title, this is the title I want to give the template in the system so that I know what it is about. So I know this one is going to be about my promo and newsletter email. You can put further details again in this description box. The subject here, though, is going to be the email subject. So this is what your recipients will see in the email subject field. So I'm going to say, check out our new promo. Now from here, I'm going to grab some of the data that's from the contact record, and that's that whole mail merge feature. So I'm merging data from my CRM. So for example, I want to say hello, and I want to say hello to the person and have their name in here. So the way you do that is you go up to the top, you click Insert, and then you're going to add your data field values. So I'm going Add. From here, I'm going to again select the record type. This one is a contact. These are just the related entities right now. So I'm clicking contact, but obviously if a contact works at a company, that's a related field, or sorry, related record. And you'll scroll through the list of fields. Again, this is all the fields available within the contact entity. So I'm going to click on F. It's going to bring me down to the full name field. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to press OK. And I'm going to go OK. You'll see here it's now inserted the record type and which field I'm pulling in. So this is actually going to pull that data from the CRM so that when I send this out to the members on my marketing list, it's going to say hello and it's going to have their each individual's name, depending on obviously which email, which person it's being emailed out to. And you can just say something simple like, we have a new promotion for the months of September and October. Hope you indulge. This is a very simple template, just to show you the functionality, of course. So I'm going to save and close. And you'll see here I have that new template that we created. I can go out of here. I'll just press OK. My screen's just refreshing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into that campaign email activity I'd already created. And you'll see here if I click on this, I've already created this activity. It's already associated to a marketing list. But you'll notice at the top here, I can distribute campaign activity. So I'm going to click that. And you can either create a quick one on the fly, but I already have a template in place, so I'm going to click Use Template. I'm going to add over here. And if I scroll down to the contact templates, you'll see here I have the ones that I created, as well as any other system ones available to me. So I'm just going to click Contact for Newsletter Promo. And then now that I've done that, all I would have to do is click the Distribute button down here. I'm not going to do that because I don't want this to email out, but to complete this and send those emails using that template up here, you just click Distribute and that sends it. And keep in mind what's going to happen is it's going to create email activity records for each email that is sent out. So if I have the 76 people on my members list here, my marketing list, it's going to create 76 email activities that will be set regarding, and it'll be about this campaign. And then I'll be able to track some of the responses from that. So it's a great way to build your metrics and, again, track it against your campaigns. This has been a very basic overview of the marketing components within CRM. And of course, there's always other services that you can add and integrate in with CRM to make even more robust marketing within your system. One of the ones that we always suggest and we work closely with is Click Dimensions. It works right within the CRM, so you don't even notice a difference, but it even does a lot more than what we've just shown you today. But I hope you enjoyed this and that it was helpful in terms of understanding some of the basic marketing pieces within your CRM. Thanks.